Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today we're going to look at DC Comics Young Justice #1. This was 250. What year is that? September 1998. Wow, I remember 1998 like it was yesterday. So this was a fun comic. I missed this when it came out, and then I just, back in, I think it was like 2002, I was on message boards. And message boards were all the rage. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, all you youngins, before Twitter and before Facebook and everything, the way to get online and argue with whether Batman could beat up Wolverine was message boards. And that's what they were at first. They were a lot of fun. It was like you found a forum, like you went to a website, you went to DC Comics, and then they would have their message boards, and it was like sometimes the creators would be there, sometimes it was just fans, and everybody would pick names, and you go to the Superman forum, and then you argue about Superman. And it was, for the most part, it was fun. And after a while, it could devolve into nasty fighting, but I got to say, I was pretty bad. For those of you who may know, some of you old timers, at the old Newsarama and Outhouse, I think it was called, I was Food Eater Lad. So if anybody's there, the legendary Food Eater Lad. Why was I legendary? Because I was the lone conservative guy on the, and they just like to attack me. If I said something, man, they didn't like what I said a lot of times when it brought up politics. But that was my own fault for arguing politics on a comic book website. But anyway, I digress. So let's get back to this. So there was a lot of good things about forums that I actually missed. There's a lot of people that I used to talk to, and then that we slowly just like disappeared, and I never even knew their real names. I knew them by their avatars and their like made up code names or whatever. But anyway, I digress, because this was a pleasant time period. This is a lot of fun for comics. I was very, very active, but I digress. So let's focus. We have Young Justice here, and I didn't collect it. I don't know why I didn't collect it. I just missed it. I gotta say, around 2000, I finished college, and I was like starting work, back entering into the workforce. I was broke. Yeah. Now I'm recalling. I was pretty broke. So I was very selective about comics. I wanted to fanboy, meaning I wanted to get everything from Marvel. I wanted to get everything from DC, but I couldn't afford it. So I got like Superman, Batman, whatever. Young Justice went under the radar. But I heard how good it was. So I went on eBay and I saw a full run. Like I think the comic was just about to be canceled, or maybe around 50 issues or so, and I got a full run, and I lowball bidded. And the way I work eBay is I just throw in a ridiculously low bid, and then I forget about it. I don't check the updates. I don't jump back in and snipe and do all that stuff. I just put in one bid and forget about it. And you'd be amazed at how much good stuff that I won. The original Teen Titans, the original from the 60s. I'm talking the original Teen Titans. I think I put in like $100 bid and then forgot about it, walked away from it, and I won. I got like a full run of the original Teen Titans for like $100, because that was like my thing. I would just put it what I thought was a ridiculously low bid. I mean, some of those comics are $100 a piece, but I digress. So I did that for Young Justice, and I won. And I'm really happy I did. It turned out to be a fun comic. I remember reading them in like, I just sat and read them all in like a 3-week period. Focus. All right, so let's open it up and we'll talk about the creators out there. So, okay, let's talk about this. Is Superboy, Robin, and Impulse. So it's the derivative of Superman, the derivative of Batman, and the derivative of the Flash. They form in their own team, and it's got a good gimmick. Let's open it up. So look at this. This is totally 90s Batman. Look at that. Let's look at the indie show. September 1998. Okay, #1. So here we have Robin over here. Batman's teaching him, have you ever heard of growing a beard? He's having nightmares, if you ask me. Yeah, he's having nightmares. And this version of Superman was the Superboy was the cool Superboy with the sunglasses and the leather jacket, who came out after the death of Superman. If you remember the death of Superman, they brought back like 4 people claiming to be Superman. So this was the Superboy with every chance he can, he would bring up tactile telekinesis. That was his main power. And then there was Steel, and then there was the Cyborg Superman, and the Eradicator, was that his name? And then Superman came back and they all whatever had to defer to him. And here is, Impulse running around at the Speed Force. So what are they doing? They're having horrible dreams and they're waking up. What's going on? Young, just us. So they're waking up. I like this. Why do I like this? Because they're kids. They're young teenagers. I think they're like 13 to like 14, 15, 16, around there. Like, I think 16 is even too old. So they're young teenagers who are given a lot of responsibility, a lot of freedom. I mean, Robin's running around Manhattan at night, and what is he, 14, 15 years old? He's probably the oldest. He's a clone, so he's only like a couple of years old, and then he was raised in like a hyperbolic chamber and just fed like information to so he's like even though he's probably the oldest, I think he's mentally the least efficient because of his upbringing. It's so it kind of, the whole concept of like kid sidekick superheroes is really an abusive concept. Batman, we all think how cool it is to be Robin, but in the real world, like a real Batman would be brought up on child abuse charges. You know what I mean? I don't know, but we accept it because we're comic book fans. But this was what I like, is all three of them, they're hanging out and they're being young boys. They're hanging out together. They don't have too many friends in the real world because of their situation, but they found a peer group and they're hanging out. They're getting pizza and they're having a sleepover. Where? In the old Justice League headquarters. At one point, the Justice League, their headquarters was a cave. And that's what they're doing. They're hanging out there. So let's look at the credits. We got Peter David. Man, I think this just may be the first Peter David comic that I'm doing a showcase of. It only took me 3 years. Peter David I liked a lot. But Peter David was a super influential writer. When Peter David came in, it was kind of like he took the comic book world by storm. And he interjects a lot of humor into his comics, a lot of tongue-in-cheek, a lot of humor, sometimes situational humor, but sometimes he would do like just the lowest form of humor, which is like pop culture references. Like, am I remembering right? Is Buffy the Vampire Slayer like a big deal at this point? Like, I think so. So like the Joss Whedon, Peter David, tongue-in-cheek, goofy, quippy humor, it was a phenomenon at the time. And I'd be lying if I say I didn't like it at the time. Peter David could do no wrong as far as I was concerned at the time. I have to admit, I got a little tired of that style. But Peter David is a competent professional writer. He could adapt to the time. If Peter David didn't exist, there would be no Gail Simone. Gail Simone is the second tier carbon, the lesser, not enough toner in the copying machine version of Peter David. Peter David opened the door, and then Gail Simone threatened her way in, and I don't know. Just I'm not a big fan of Gail Simone, but I am a big fan of Peter David. And I guess I'll talk to this. I met Peter David. My friend Dan, how you doing, Dan? If you're watching this, say something in the comments. But my friend Dan called me up one day and said Peter David is giving a lecture in our local library. So I was like, yeah. He's like, you want to go? I was like, yeah, sure. Dan didn't want to go by himself, so me and him went and we listened to Peter David give a lecture about comic books. It was awesome. He was a gentleman. He was fun. He was witty. The only thing that I had issue with, and it wasn't my situation, but I noticed it, was Peter David wrote the Hulk for like 10 years or so, and he was like unceremoniously just dismissed. And he didn't take it too kindly. He was pretty annoyed at that. But there was a little girl. She looked like a little Cindy Lou Who, and she had a Hulk comic for him to autograph. Now, I'm not stupid. Peter David's not stupid. The father brought the little girl in and sent the little girl with the comic book to get the autograph. It was a low down dirty deed, because everybody knows Peter David. He doesn't like to autograph the Hulk comics because he's mad. But you know what, Pete, that's between you and Marvel. That shouldn't be between you and your fans. So you could see he got like a flash of anger in his face, and then everybody in the audience was watching him. So he got emotionally blackmailed into autographing the comic book for the little girl, who I'm sure gave it right to her father. But you know what, Pete, you're at the venue, and your fans if you have a problem with Marvel Comics, and I can totally understand Pete. I'm on your side. Pete, I'm saying Pete like being Peter David and buddies, but I'm totally on your side. But also, that's not the fans' business. Like, the fans have nothing to do with it. Don't punish the fans, but I'm not going to sign a Marvel comic because I'm mad at Marvel. The fans are the fans. Okay, I digress. So this is Todd Nauck, the penciler. I don't know much about him other than this, and he did a fun, energetic, kinetic style that really, really works when you have like the fastest boy alive. Superboy's known for speed, and then this is the Boy Wonder, boy of action. So I thought he really, really was a good blend of the art and the characters. Larry Stucker, again, good. He really worked with Todd. Brought out the pencils. This is a fun series in every sense of the word. The writing, the characters, the art, the inking, everything worked together. Colors, I feel bad that I don't really have a lot to say about the colors, but if anybody in the audience knows better than me, is this computer color? I think by 1998 they were using computer coloring. And yeah, digital. Okay, yeah. Duh. Next line. If digital. Yeah, there you go. That answers my question. Ken Lopez letters and Eddie Berganza editor. I've heard a lot of good things about Eddie Berganza. And here we got an ad for cereal. And okay. This is interesting. Tangent Comics. What are Tangent Comics? Well, it was DC Comics, and it was a fifth week event. I don't think they do fifth week events anymore, but fifth week's events usually weren't good. This was a particularly good one. And what were fifth week events? Well, comic books came out on Wednesdays. Once in a while, there'd be a fifth Wednesday in a month, due to the way the 7-day week worked out. And they didn't want people to not have any reason to go to the comic book store. Okay, it's Wednesday. We're not going to go to the comic book store. You know what I mean? I already got my monthly comics because they come out whatever. So they would make comic books for fifth weeks, and usually they were like silly stories. But this was pretty good. So this was just alternate takes on different DC characters. So this is like Tales of the Green Lantern. Look at that. I love that concept. That would have been great. Nightwing and Night Force. Just alternate tales. So this is kind of somewhere in the multiverse that they'll bring this Power Girl, the different version of the JLA. Look at that, Wonder Woman, Batman, and what do we got here? Superman. Look at that, Superman. And the Joker's wild. The Flash. She looks like she's flashing some hiney over there. And now we're back to the regular cops. So they were like, what's going on? And they're all realizing they all had bad dreams. So as they're talking about the dreams, Impulse, whose name is perfect description. I love when the name and the powers and everything, even the personality fits. Impulse, he's impulsive. He's a teenage boy with impulsive disorder and superpowers. So he's like, I'm bored, and he goes and starts running around. So as fate would have it, there's an archaeological dig not too far away, and his Professor Nina Dowd, and she's going in, and look, they find this wheel embedded in the earth. It's like, what are we doing? She jumps in. We got this. We gotta check it out, and she gets buffooned, and she's like, what's going on? And they're all looking at it. Meanwhile, back at the XJLA headquarters, Impulse is running around, and they're talking to this Red Tornado statue, and he's running around. They're getting shocks and everything like that. He's doing Hanson bites. Hating Hanson was like a cool thing back then. That every once in a while there's like these bands that everybody, it's just cool to make fun of, cool to hate, and Hanson was one of them. And I always said to people, what were you doing when you're 15 years old? Were you performing in stadiums, traveling around the world? Hate them all you want, but they were like 14, 15-year-old boys, So I thought that was mean to make fun of 14, 15-year-old boys, even at the time. So, he's graffitiing up everything. He's knocking down the Red Tornado statue, and Red Tornado just like, what are you doing? He's like, we thought you were a statue. He's like, no, I was just standing around observing everything, pretty much guarding the JLA headquarters. He was just living there, and he was just observing the boys. And when he realized that the boys didn't know he was there, he was just like, I'm not going to embarrass them. So he was observing them, and he's like, my analysis of you analysis of you is you are the id, the ego, and the super ego, because you impulse, you're the id, the living id, the reptilian brain, all action, no thought. And you, Superboy, you are ego. Because you were raised artificially with developmental knowledge and was not experienced firsthand. You are ego with the grasp of morality and ethics, capable of making basic judgment calls. Where you, Robin, you are the super ego. You are the latest assistant to the Batman and the only here to have anything approachable to a normal childhood. You have a highly developed moral sense and are the most natural leader. You are the super ego. So I like that. Peter David is playing around with like psychology, archetypes, superheroes, and it's not just goofy tongue-in-cheek. There's some meat to it, and that's why I was a fan of Peter David. I thought that was he took to me at the time. Here we got some Jack Kirby. I forgot about this, okay. But to me, that's what makes Peter David a good writer. Is he took like what I thought is a natural team up: Superboy, Robin, and Impulse. Is Impulse still around anymore? That would be a shame. Impulse was a fun character, but anyway. And then what are they doing? They're gonna have a parent guardian figure because they can't just have these little kids just running around unsupervised. So now they're forming a team here, and he's playing the role model of the guardian. So he's like, yeah, well, what? Look at all this. And now the trouble alert that everybody makes fun. Trouble alert. It's still active in the Justice League, so they're responding to it. And I love how he has super speed, but they always arrive at the same time. They're coming to this archaeological dig. People like stand down, we're taking over here, a fight. What are they called? Peter David was big on puns. And these are the DEO, the Department of Extranormal Operations. That was like their... DC kind of tried to have like a government group that regulated like superheroics and things like that. Like kind of like SHIELD, but they were, but the DEO. I don't know. Are they still around? I kind of... I kind of fallen out with DC. So this is Fight and this is Mad. Fight and Mad. You're going to see that. That's like a big thing in this comic is the puns. So the DEO is taken over, but the superheroes show up. So they're going to let the superheroes go down, see if anything's dangerous. Ground Zero, the Dome. I remember this. I don't have this. I can't speak about this. Oh, Dave Gibbons. Okay, Dave Gibbons. Oh, I will talk about this. This was Helix. Helix was an imprint within DC Comics, kind of like a DC was firing on all cylinders at this point, and a rising tide floats all boats. So they were making other imprints. They had Vertigo, they had Helix, and they had something else. I forget what the other one is. Helix eventually got rolled into Vertigo. They became like the same thing. Guns of the Dragon. Okay, this is pretty cool. Ninjas, heroes, and dinosaurs. Wow, and I missed this. Like I said, I was broke at this point. So, Fight and Mad don't want the superheroes to go down there. Apparently, they're fighting everything. We got some explosions, and what happened? Professor Nina Dowd, she got transformed by whatever they found in this crater, and now she's the Mighty Endowed. Da-da-da. And I have to say that DC now is like embarrassed by this, by this character. And the joke is, she's got big old cannons. She's got big old boobies, but you never see them because there's always smoke or energy or something in the way. And she's so top heavy that she's always losing her balance. You see, she's falling down over here. So she's kind of a threat, but not really. But she's Mighty Endowed. And they're all teenage boys, and they're like, what? Like, we're gonna fight her? Yeah. Now she certainly got huge tracts of land. Oh my God. Jokes about boobies. Oh my God. This isn't fear. This is anticipation. He's all like, because he was always like the alpha male guy. We're supposed to fight her. If there's a God, then yes. I see you up there trembling in fear. I will defeat you all. I will. Oh no, too top heavy. And then she falls down. And they're like, oh man. He was looking forward to getting into some physical altercation with the Mighty Endowed. So they're not taking her seriously. So now the assistant professor, they're all saying, what's going on down here? They found a wheel jutting out of the earth that is old. Talking about lost technologies, and it transformed Nina Dowd into the Mighty Endowed. So Superboy is using his tactical telekinesis, and it's a super cycle. So this is a relic from the New Gods. So apparently the New Gods were here in an untold past, and it got abandoned. They don't know why. And when some sort of energy crackled from the New Gods, so Nina Dowd got some new Genesis energy, and she transformed into like a new godlike being, and she became the Mighty Endowed, creating, and there's so many of these pun-based villains in the series. So now they're flying off, and now they have a super cycle. So now they're the team. So, did I skip something that was important? Yes, I did. So they're asking, who are you guys? Are you the Teen Titans? They're like, no, we're not the Teen Titans. Yeah, I did skip it. But like the whole naming thing, I thought was pretty clever. So they said, who are you guys? Are you the Justice League? And they go, no, we're not the Justice League. We're not the Teen Titans. That's gonna drive me nuts. And they say, no, we're are you are you the Teen Titans? They said no. Are you the Justice League? They say no. We're just us. We're young. We're just us. So that becomes their name. We're Young Justice, because they misinterpreted them when they said Young Just Us. Oh yeah, right here. Yeah, you could trust them. They're the Teen Titans. Oh no, we're not. All right, you're the Young Justice League of America. No, we're young, but just us. Okay, Young Justice. And he's like, no, Young Justice. Right, Young Justice. Fine, whatever. So they got their name. You like that? I like that. A misinterpretation coming in. What a pretty clever name. And now they got a vehicle, they got a headquarters, and they got like a chaperone. That's the word I couldn't think of. So next, The Boys Wild Ride of Splatter Mountain. This was a fun series. Who's the Martian Manhunter? I always liked the Martian Manhunter. 80-page giant. Adventure Comics. I don't know if I have this. This looks interesting. I'll check that out. Oh, so here we go. I asked if Buffy was popular, and here we go. We got Buffy herself being all sexy and drinking milk. Those milk mustache heads. So there you go. It all ties together now. So I thought this was a fun series. It didn't take itself too seriously, except when it did. And Peter David was capable of writing. I remember he at Marvel. I think it's the same time. Or maybe it's a little different, but he was writing the Guinness, who was the son of Captain Marvel, and it was really goofy, and it was punny and jokey, and the fans didn't particularly like it. What worked in Young Justice didn't particularly work in Captain Marvel, especially a character that was like dealing with mental issues. So it just didn't seem right, and he course corrected, Because why? Because he's a professional. He didn't say that, oh, you don't get my genius. You don't get it. Like they do today. If we're not going to fix, we're going to find. We need a better audience. You guys are a bunch of jerks, which is why I stopped reading Marvel and DC. But Peter David, he's a professional. He's like, okay, fans don't like this. I'm going to course correct. And Captain Marvel, the Guinness series by Peter David, was an excellent series. I'm a big fan. Is he perfect? Absolutely not. He's absolutely not perfect. He's got problems. Sometimes he could be a little too clever for his own good, but I do like him. I don't know if he's writing today. I don't know if he's available for work today. I haven't really heard anything about Peter David in the past couple of years, which is a shame, because I'm sure the guy could still write. But there you go. That's today's video. I know it's super late, but a series of unfortunate events. Nothing bad, but a lot of fun. And I'll see you tomorrow with another video.